and many of the other science fiction films that followed. It was the first big ecological science fiction film that really made its point and did a great job with it.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. And a lot of you kids out there, if you see this, it's a very slow movie. But it's about a guy in space kind of losing it and being lonely, and you have to really kind of be patient with it.
Now, one of the other things this film reminded me of was this great classic animated film that you have over there.
Well, I was going to talk about it.
I mentioned this in one of my written reviews. I compared WALL-E to this film, which is why when I saw this over there, I was like, oh, dude, this is awesome. So what film is this?
Well, the reason why this came about is there was a guy who was asking me about some movies that he should see. He saw Wreck when I recommended it, and he said, I'm into science fiction and horror. You got the horror part down with Wreck, and I really want to know if you have any. Oh, you asked me for the opener right there. He said, I really want to know what other movies you could recommend, especially science fiction. This I just kind of pulled out because I said this is a very old movie. It's a cult movie too, and it's a French film, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Fantastic Planet. And what's so cool about this movie, not only is the animation style very unique and almost kind of creepy in a way, but it has a very hand-drawn style to it, but it's also the story. Pretty much, now, I haven't watched this in about a year and a half, but it's about aliens who take in humans and use them as pets, and they rebel against the aliens that hold them captive. And it's interesting to see that dynamic played out in this movie. How do you relate this to WALL-E?
It is, when you talk to people who know about animation and people who are big animation buffs, this is considered those top 5 best animated films ever made.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is one of those things that universally gets brought up. And that's where I think WALL-E is. WALL-E really kind of redefined what you can do with animation and what you can do with a character and took it back to its most simple.
Well, this movie here, it's from I think it's from 1973.
It's pretty old.
Yeah, it's very old. It's directed by somebody named René Laloux, I believe. And I haven't really seen. I think he did one more film. Or the makers of this movie did one more film, and I believe it was called Light Years here in America. Not a very good movie.
Light Years,
no, not a very good movie. So if you see that, it's not that great. As a matter of fact, they got Penn and Teller to do voices in this movie, and I don't even understand that because if you know who Penn and Teller is, Teller doesn't even talk. So. This movie here, though, is a classic. I happened to see this late night on a show called Night Flight that used to show cool stuff like this.
Night Flight introduced a lot of us to some great stuff. For those of you that don't know, Night Flight was the late night show on the USA Network when some of us were kids. And it was on USA up all night. And
back when USA actually had some cool shit on there. Now they just show. Well, they have some cool series
they've
now.
Got shit, but it's completely different than
it is. It's not very loose as it was back then.
Yeah,
so.
and Night Flight was just this cool ass thing. In fact, I've seen if you YouTube a bunch of like old skits or just old cool weirdness, a lot of times you'll see the Night Flight logo right at the beginning of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because people recorded it off of Night Flight.
Night Flight used to show, I learned a lot about underground animation such as this.
That's how we all discovered Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
No, I actually knew about that from going to the video store, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But
I saw it on.
But this here, man, I mean, this Night Flight showed a lot of cool stuff. They showed Looney Tunes shorts that were not really shown anymore. A lot of them that were aimed more towards adults that had actual cursing in them. They showed a lot of good movies that you probably didn't get to see too much. Underground films, some early Trauma stuff too. Maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, Night Flight was cool. And they showed Fantastic Planet. Saw it. This DVD has a lot of interesting stuff on here. So if you get a chance to get it, I mean, they have some shorts on here from this director that I saw. So it's a good thing to watch. So if you like science fiction, you like animation, this is a great combination here. And I highly recommend you watch that. The other movie that I have here that's for older stuff.
Enough,
what's that?
Following up on that, 2 years ago at Fantastic Fest, Darren Aronofsky came and he brought his film, The Fountain.
The Fountain, yeah.
And Tim League asked him if he would host a screening of one of his other films. And he said, well, I really don't want to show Pi or Requiem for a Dream. I mean, the people who are going to come and see The Fountain have probably already seen those, and I've shown those a lot. Can I show something that I've never been able to host before. And they're like, absolutely. Here's a list of all the things we have on 35. And he saw Fantastic Planet on there and said, holy crap, this is one of the films I was watching to get in the mindset to write and make The Fountain. I have to show this. So when he came to Austin and he hosted a screening, he hosted Fantastic Planet.
That's great, man. It's one of my absolutely favorite movies ever. I love it.
It's a cool flick.
Yeah, no, it's...
Now, what's this other thing? I can't see the title.
It's Black Samson.
My, you did not pull out Black.
Okay, here's
one of the things you guys need to know about Uncle Corey. Uncle Corey likes to talk about, how much he, how he gets kind of snobbish sometimes when it comes to modern film. When it comes to films of the 70s, the crappier, the better. He loves some dog shit.
Oh, yeah. No.
And Black Samson is no exception.
This is for the older crowd here because it is a 70s movie, and it's also a blaxploitation movie. Now, I hesitate. With me, blaxploitation, it's a term that is crazy to me because you have these movies that were made by white directors and studios that actually brought in black people and used them for the talent, and a lot of people didn't really get too much out of that.
Well, that's why it's called blaxploitation.
Exactly, but then you got some movies that are called blaxploitation that were made by black people and actually put out there, and that's not so much exploitation. It's just people trying to get their action heroes out there.
Where the term comes from, it's blaxploitation was the third coined term for it because there was sexploitation was the first term that was coined.
Well, no, I get it. I don't want to get
it. Was the whole idea was we're selling it because we're selling the black hero to a black audience, and they were exploiting the audience to come out and see what most of the time were pretty crappy.
No, they were all shitty movies. I mean, but then you had some. What? No. I mean, there was some. All of them were like kind of. They didn't have the best budgets, is what I'm saying. No, but this movie. No, I'm not sure. I'm not going to even say because I think this movie. I don't know if it was made by a black director or not.
Is his last name Jones or Williams?
You know something? I don't have it on here. I'll tell you because this movie is a hard find, man. You can find it, but it's hard to find. And Black Samson, and the reason why I recommend this for older people is because, like I said, it's from the 70s, and it's just, I don't know if younger people will be into it, but a lot of the people who were into some of these movies, such as Dolomite and Black Caesar and those kind of films, will probably be into seeing this movie. And it's just, you have this guy, Black Samson, and he's a club owner. And that's what a lot of these movies were. They owned clubs and they were fighting the white clubs down the street who tried to come in heavy on them. So Black Samson is this big dude. In fact, he's so badass, he has a lion in his bar. So like a live lion on the table next to the strippers.
And every time he goes into his bedroom, there's a half naked black woman lying there.
There's always, well, he has his main girl, so he's not one of those guys that has all kind of naked women around.
He's not like Shaft.
No, he's not like Shaft. Even though all the women want him, they don't all get with him. He's got his main squeeze. But of course, across town, the mafia wants to come in. They send
we are white people and we must crush the black man.
Exactly. So Black Samson has to protect his club against the main heavy, who's a henchman for a mob boss. But as a white dude comes in, he brings his crew in, and it pretty much ends up with a whole city block of black people going insane. Imagine that trash can scene in Do the Right Thing, where all the black people tore up the pizzeria. Now imagine like a city block like that, where people are throwing refrigerators and toasters off of top of buildings.
You mean like the L.A. riots?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, except they're everywhere. They capture the movie climaxes with these mob people trapped in the middle of the street on this block, while every building on the street is occupied by black people. It's like those two old guys in the Muppets that sit on the balcony and they hang over there and like yell stuff. Imagine those black Muppets hanging out the window of every building and throwing shit down. And that's what it's like. It's so insane. And when I saw this movie, I was like, wow. I was kind of bored at first, but the resolution in this is so crazy that I had to see it, and I recommend it just for comedy's sake almost. But yeah, Black Samson.
Is it better than Dragon?
Are you talking about that Bruce Lee movie?
No.
The Last Dragon?
No. Dragon starring Jim Jones. Or
Black Belt Jones?
Well, who played Black Belt Jones? Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Oh, man, you know what? I can't remember. It's not Jones, though.
No, it's not.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly.
Yeah.
Black Belt Jones, Jim Kelly. Yeah, but he's in Dragon. D period, R period, A period, G period, O period, N period. Dragon.
Damn, I never even heard of it.
It's a crazy old blaxploitation action film from the 70s.
I'm getting it.
It's like got the greatest trailer known to man. It's Jim Kelly being badass all throughout.
I'm going to watch that.
You know what? You're going to watch it, and you're probably going to recommending it, whether it's any good or not.
No, that's what a lot of these movies are like. I probably would recommend a lot of these old black films because they're just so, not because a lot of people are going to think, oh, he's recommending this because he's black and he likes black movies. No, a lot of these black movies are terrible, but they're so bad, they're funny.
Like terrible movie. Like, you'll recommend Worms.
Oh, man, that's the thing. I like really bad movies, and Worms will be recommended one day. And it's not called Worms, it's called Squirm. A movie about killer worms, people. Can you imagine that? Back in the 70s,
He loves it.
They tried to make killer animal movies out of anything.
Yeah, well, that's because, I just went and saw The Birds the other day. And this is funny that this came up. I went and saw we've got the summer film series here at the Paramount downtown. And it's cool because they show double features. And sometimes they're double features that really go together. And sometimes they're just brilliantly put together. Like next week they're showing, The Exorcist back-to-back with Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, nice.
And if you go to the matinee, they're showing Mary Poppins. But I went and saw Psycho back-to-back with The Birds. And, man, The Birds does not hold up. Oh, my God. It was one of those things. I'm watching it. People have asked me repeatedly what I think about that. And I keep meaning to write a blog post about what I think about remakes. Because I've really come 180 on the whole remakes thing. But I watched this movie, and I'm like, no wonder they're remaking this. The audience was laughing all throughout the film.
Okay.
Tense moments.
I would tell you something. The Birds does hold up, but it has some very, very, very good scenes in there. Like, it's probably as much as the people laughing. There's some scary scenes with birds in there.
There's some good stuff in there, but the problem is that coupled with the scenes that are just funny, coupled with the fact that there isn't a woman in that film who is halfway useful. They are the most useless women ever put to film.
Oh no, it's a product of its time. It's like a lot of stuff.
But the thing is it's dated. I mean, it's dated. You cannot sit down and watch that movie beginning to end and think, "Wow, what a brilliant film." You have to think, "Oh, that was brilliant for its time."
Well, I mean,
I totally see why they're updating that film.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I have argued with people because I'm against the whole remaking stuff because we have nothing better to do. But I have gotten to arguments with people about this very thing, The Birds, because I said. People argue with me because it's Hitchcock, and they're just all stuck on, if it's Hitchcock, you don't touch it. And I'm like, listen, Psycho was kind of a useless remake. I'm not even upset about that.
The remake of Psycho was useless only because they didn't do anything new.
No, exactly. I mean, the only thing they did was put it in color, and they showed Vince Vaughn jerking off a little bit.
Yeah, that was the only changes to the film.
But Hitchcock, what?
Although, having just sat down and watched Psycho again, there are two performances that I prefer in the remake. I was like, wow, I really do miss William H. Macy and Viggo Mortensen.
Well, I mean,
roles, the movie really did. I mean, everything else was useless, but seeing those two guys, I was like, you know what? It was totally worth seeing that remake just to see Viggo Mortensen and William H. Macy.
Well, yeah,
knock these roles out of the.
I mean, you go to these movies and you accept them for being a product of their time. You got to know that. I mean, a classic movie is not going to always hold up because times change. If you put it in its context, yeah. But Hitchcock himself had said, I want to use different kind of birds in this. I wanted to use owls. I wanted to use eagles. I wanted to use all kind of stuff, but he couldn't do it. There was just no way to do it at the time.
No, there wasn't.
And so I think, that would actually be interesting to see this be remade like that. I'm just afraid that they're just going to do something really bad with it, and they're not going to concentrate on the story of the characters.
Well, the Platinum Dunes they've focused on the story and characters. They haven't made a single remake that, really blew everybody away. A lot of people like the Chainsaw remake. I like Chainsaw the Beginning quite a bit. I
didn't see that, but I thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not that great, but
I'm saying a lot of people liked it.
I know.
But they still haven't made that perfect remake that makes us go, yeah, you guys really should be doing this. I've enjoyed watching most of their remakes, but the big litmus test is going to be this and Friday the 13th. The one I'm actually looking forward to is Friday the 13th.
See, I could care less about Friday the 13th, but The Birds, I think, is something that I am looking forward to just because it's something that will actually do something new. I don't know what they're going to do with Friday the 13th. I mean, what can you do with Friday the 13th?
Stabilize a real mythology, because the problem with Friday the 13th is, first of all, they're not good. I'm an old school slasher horror fan, and even I have to kind of step away from the Friday the 13th and go, yeah, they're pretty much crap. There's some good ones in there. I'm a big fan of 7. 7's cool, and 3 is interesting. But
three was in 3D, yeah, because that was why it was
that was
cool.
the one time where they really got a great story going. They're like, okay, Paramount was fuck this. We want nothing more to do with this movie. We're gonna kill them off and it'll be done with. Because the executives at Paramount hated it. They kept making them because they had to, because they were so financially successful. They had to churn out new ones, but the audiences wouldn't stop going to see them no matter how bad they were. And they were just like, look, this is making us look silly. So they dumped it off, and so the series got restarted. There's one good one out of there, and then the rest were bad. But mythology changed every movie until you get to the end of 9, and it's like, wait, so the evil in Jason is really this little supernatural alien thing from hell that gets into people and takes over them.
Well, don't forget that they made 10, which was Jason in space.
Now, I liked that.
I did too. I liked that one too.
But it was getting back to the old mythology and just saying, "Fuck it, these movies were never serious, so let's make a space comedy out of it." And that's what they did.
Yeah,
and that was fun, and I enjoyed the
I
Freddy
think,
versus Jason, but the mythology was never solid. It never gelled. And I think this is their chance to actually – I've argued this for a long time. The creatures we got in the 80s, the late 70s, early 80s, Michael Myers, Freddy, Jason Voorhees, Pinhead, these creatures have become our universal monsters. They're our Frankenstein, our Dracula, our Mummy that, older generations grew up with. I am ready to see them reinvented by new filmmakers and taken to another level. I really enjoyed Rob Zombie's Halloween remake because he did something different with it and made a completely different film than any of the others did.
I didn't hate it, but I thought pointless, man. Do we really that the first Halloween was so effective? Do we really need to know about Michael Myers being a kid? I mean, we don't need to see him be a child, be a killer, go around killing people. They just ruined the mystique of Michael Myers by doing that.
Not at all, because the point of that was that it was a remake. It was not a sequel. The sequels fucked the hell out of Michael Myers. I mean, if you want to talk about the mythology of Michael Myers, where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at the second film, which was good but not great? Well, you draw the line at the fourth and fifth films where it really got crazy? Or when Dimension took over in 6 and made him a genetic clone? Or 7?
No, of course. No, all these, that's what I'm saying. All these get silly, and I don't know what they're going to do with a Friday the 13th remake. I mean, they did it with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it meant nothing. It's a slasher movie.
They didn't ruin the mystique of Michael Myers because it's a different story of Michael Myers. I consider these all to be...
No, I didn't say...
These are like when you sit around the campfire with your buddies, and they tell the Hook story. Now, we all know the Hook story, but if you were to tell the Hook story to somebody else sitting next to you, they would have heard a different version.
Yeah.
This is just a different version.
Well, I'll tell you what instead of being a different version, it was a remake. And then I saw it and I was like, you know what? That first movie was so much more effective because they told me too much in this remake here. The reason why the first one worked is because really, it's when you get too much information about Michael Myers, it becomes silly, and that's what I felt about this Michael Myers in the movie. This little kid grew up to be this big, huge monster. I kind of know what he looks like because they showed him in shadow a little bit. It was very creepy not knowing anything about that first Michael Myers, and that's what I think they're going to do with this Friday the 13th remake. They're going to probably give you too much information, and they're going to ruin all the mystery that makes you think on your own and makes you afraid. So
I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious to see how they do with it.
But the birds, though, man, they got the technology to do all those birds. Like, imagine a world being attacked by every bird.
And there's several aspects to the classic birds that they can do away with at this point. I mean, really, when you watch the birds, the first half of the movie has nothing to do with birds at all.
Well, that's what was
love story.
No, that's what was so cool about the movie. I mean, everybody likes to use that term McGuffin. For all you kids out there, McGuffin for a Hitchcock movie means that the movie starts out one way and it ends up being something else. And you're going to hear all these.
That's not what McGuffin means.
No, the McGuffin of the movie. Yeah, it is.
No, the McGuffin is whatever is driving the movie. Like the McGuffin is. The MacGuffin is this object that everybody's after. It's something that is not integral to the plot, but it's integral in driving the story.
The way I learned it is MacGuffin, and look, I'm telling you some film school shit that when I went to college is what they told us, and a lot of film geeks like to bring this up to make themselves sound smart. So if your friends ever use MacGuffin, look at them and slap them in the fucking face because they're just doing it to sound smart.
Exactly.
But the way I learned it was MacGuffin is the thing that comes into the movie that was not what it was about before. It's a thing that you didn't expect to come up, and it throws you off. And this is the real story that we're following. So that's the way I learned.
Yeah, but it's actually like a McGuffin is a thing. Like the McGuffin of the first act of The Birds is delivering these two lovebirds to this guy. I mean, that's the McGuffin. The McGuffin's all about the delivery.
See, we're kind of like splitting hairs here because...
Well, now, hold on. The thing is there's actually what's interesting is if you go ahead and Google it or you wiki it, there's actually a lot of argument as to different people consider McGuffin different thing, and there's two different camps on how McGuffin is. But there's always arguments over it.
Yeah, I
but
mean...
the point is,
it was purposely done to be one thing at the beginning, and then it was changed to do something else. That was intentional.
The other aspect that I think they can take out is some of the things that they needed to explain at the time because no one had ever really seen a pissed off nature movie. And now we've seen pissed off nature movies. So now we don't have to have that 10-minute existential argument in the diner in the middle where you've got the biblical guy quoting scripture and all the people debating why birds would attack.
No, I want to. That's why I think I'm afraid of this too, because they never explained it in the birds. I want birds attacking. There's no explanation. I want Sonny the cuckoo bird to come through the door with a knife and kill somebody.
I honestly believe that will probably be part of this movie. That because the people at Platinum Dunes, they've always gotten what make those originals tick. And now that might be a crutch to this. Those of us who are movie literate and know the birds know that they never explained it and they shouldn't explain it. But there's going to be people who walk out of this, if they do make it this way, who say, oh, that movie was stupid. They didn't even say where the birds were attacking.
No, hey, man, sometimes it's best when you just don't know. Like Cloverfield, they didn't explain too much. But anyway. Enough about all that. I mean, they're going to make it. We'll see what happens. But
what the fuck is up with that goddamn car?
Man, I don't know. But do you people hear this? I want to go out there and set that shit on fire. I just want to destroy this car. I don't know what it is. In fact,
somebody's car is going off, car alarm, and we're like sitting here listening to it. And we're trying to play it cool.
Yeah, and we're sitting up here like,
it's fucking.
It's like the elephant in the room. We're just acting like it's not there and shit. But
so the verse is about the motherfucker.
Big news this week. There's a lot of shit that happened, but the big news to me was Vern Troyer was in a sex tape.
Really? That was the big news?
That was the big news for Little Man.
It was George Carlin.
Well, oh yeah.
But let's talk about Vern Troyer for a second.
Well, but I'm not going to talk about it too much. It's just that Vern Troyer, the midget from Mini-Me, was in a sex tape, and they stopped it.
Here's what blows my mind. Not any of that aspect of the story. Here's my problem with the story. The guy was dating a 20-something model, a 24-year-old model.
See, it just goes to show you, if you're famous, you can get laid no matter what.
But here's what blows my mind. They are no longer together, and she's bitter. She's real bitter.
Well, because he dumped her?
I don't know why she's bitter, but she's bitter. She's the one that released the sex tape.
Oh, that bitch.
And she went on the talk shows insulting his manhood. Now...
Well, he's Mini-Me. How big can he be?
Well, now there's a whole thing about midgets not being midgets in certain areas. Here's my problem with this. This is what clogs up my mind. It makes me want to bash my head into the monitor repeatedly. What kind of dumbass, fucking retard of a woman thinks that she'll look good going on a fucking talk show and saying not only did you repeatedly fuck the shit out of a famous midget, but he wasn't even any good in bed when you did it? What does that make you look like? It doesn't even make you look like a gold digger. It makes you look like a discount gold digger because you couldn't even hook up with a tall fucking celebrity. You had to fuck the smallest thing you could find. There are sex toys on the market larger than Vern Troyer, and you had to go and not only, I mean...
It's fun. I mean, this is a woman who's strictly thinking in dollars. She's like, fuck it. Yeah, I'll fuck the midget. I'll bite the bullet. I'm going to cash this shit in. And now the tape has got halted by a judge. And check it out, man. Okay, this whole thing is about a sex tape. And I'm thinking, now this midget's,
let's call him Vern. He's Vern Troyer. Everybody knows who he is.
Everybody knows Vern Troyer. I'm going to call him Mini-Me. Mini-Me has an attorney named Tracy Rain. I'm like, is his fucking lawyer a porno star too? I mean, what the fuck is going on with this case? But no, man, look, if I was him, I'd be happy to have this story out there. I'd put a halt on it, but I'd like for people to know, I'm fucking 2 feet tall. Look what I'm fucking right here. So good for him, man. Shit, either way it happens, you don't have to worry about it, because if anybody's like me, you don't want to see that sex tape either. I don't want to see no fucking midget fucking somebody. Shit, I mean,
there are people that do, but it's.
Yeah,
what boggles my mind is not that there's a sex tape, and not that what the legal hoops they've gone through to stop it. It's just that woman thought there was something to benefit in her life for being known as the woman who fucked a famous midget.
Man, a woman doesn't care. If she thinks she can get paid, she could be fucking a goat. If the goat got money, she gonna try to get paid. So it don't even matter. Now, before we get into email, I just want to bring up real quick, Dark Knight getting great reviews.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna stick to what I said earlier. I know you and I kind of differed on this, but I think that's poised to probably be the biggest movie this summer.
We'll see. I'm curious. It's one of those things that it's got its fan base. It's going to be big. It's going to be a huge hit.
Oh, no, definitely. I think it's going to be big.
I don't know if it's going to be the biggest movie of the summer.
Well, as we know, we never know ahead of time, but no. I'm going to bet on it being the biggest movie this summer.
We thought that about Batman Begins, and Batman Begins barely squeaked by with $200 million.
I never said it was going to be the biggest movie of that summer.
I didn't say you, but there was a lot of people who thought that, and just the Batman fans, they came out, and I honestly think it's going to be top 5, but I don't think it's going to be the biggest movie of the summer.
Okay.
I think it's got a lot of competition. We've still got Hancock coming out, which is going to do real fucking well. We've got, Iron Man just crossed 300 million this weekend. We didn't even mention that in the top 5, but that was one of the big stories. It crossed 300 million. It is the highest grossing movie of the summer.
Oh yeah, no, and it's hard to tell. I mean, you never know, and I'm not saying for certain. I just think that so many people. It's a sequel. Heath Ledger's death in there. This is a property that's very popular. I think this is going to be huge. I think it really is going to pass 300 million.
Here's where the real problem is. In order to get Iron Man numbers, you've got to get a lot of repeat business. Now they've announced that they have ended the movie with a downer of a note. This in memoriam of Heath Ledger, and I forget the name of the stuntman who died making the movie. But there's an in memoriam at the end, which is what I was afraid of. And I'm terrified of just seeing the movie and thinking, wow, it's really good, and then not being that kind of movie to bring people
no
back
one's
to
even
see
said that. Everyone that's seen it has says every time Heath Ledger's on the screen, it's mesmerizing.
No, absolutely. The reviews have been very positive. I'm very excited about the film. I can't wait.
A lot of people are saying that this could not only is just a great superhero movie, but people are saying, you know what, you're going to think I'm crazy, but it's one of the best movies of the year. Now, I'm not buying into the hype until I see it. But
what I'm going to say out on the outset right now, if I had to bet right now, I would put money down that Heath Ledger takes best Oscar for best actor next year. For this film posthumously.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are saying
that. I would not doubt it at all. People are talking about, wow, they see an Oscar nod. Warner Brothers, months ago, when they had seen the completed film, they were gearing up trying to figure out an Oscar campaign just before Heath Ledger died, and it's going to happen. Odds are he's going to get it.
And Oscars would be benefiting from that too. It makes a great story.
I would love it if this were the best movie, or if this was, the highest grossing film of the summer. I love it when darker, more adult films really benefit, but I'm cautious. I don't see that happening. I think you guys are caught up because you and one of the other guys from the site, one of our shadowy masters, think this, and I think this comes mostly from the hype of our readership, as opposed to, there's hype out there, but it's not the level of excitement.
Well, it's doing everything that is exceeding everything that I thought it would do. When I was thinking about this movie before, I was like, man, this movie's going to sell a lot ahead of time. I didn't think 3 weeks ahead of time, but the movie's already making a lot of sales 3 weeks ahead of time. A lot of people are coming out and they're giving these really, really just very enthusiastic early reviews. So like I said, you never know. I might even see the movie and say, I don't know what the fuck they were talking about. This is pure bullshit. But who knows?
Now I'm really excited because we just found out that we've got 2 different screenings of Batman. So
go to the one on Monday because that's at the IMAX.
They both are.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. And the big question is, will we love it enough to go and see it again on Tuesday?
Oh, man.
That's what I'm wondering.
I really don't have time to see shit twice these days, but it might be one of those movies.
Good.
Yeah, if it's one of those movies and I have time, I definitely will, but we'll be busy trying to get that review out. As a matter of fact, I'm employing Leon ahead of time to start doing stuff for this. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and get into one email before we get out of here.
Answer an email so I can go home.
Let's see. All right. This is from Tyler, and Tyler says, "Dear Corey, I was randomly talking to one of my state representatives. What the hell are you doing us talking to your state representative? Who are you? Anyway, who is working with longtime friend Cloris Leachman and other people in the industry to increase filming efforts in Georgia. This would include studios and education opportunities. Something the state rep mentioned, however, was that he believed that film, and he puts film in quotes, was going out and CG was replacing it. Now, bear with me here, okay. And he said, this is his words. He gave let me see what this is. He gave a factoid stating that the most famous Japanese actress is actually a hot blonde CG woman. This scares the heck out of me. Is CG truly going to replace film, and is the film industry still a place to look for a job if you're not into CG? And that's from Tyler. Tyler, I sent you an email back, but let me just say this. Film is an industry. CG is a tool. So I would just say real quick, your state rep is full of shit and doesn't know what he's talking about. So
I think it's very important to note that this guy is in politics and not where the money is.
He's probably old, and look, if this is the guy that's helping to bring in film into Georgia, Georgia's fucked because he don't know what the hell he's talking about.
The real problem there is that CG is a tool, but CG is a very expensive tool, and it is one that it's sometimes it's just going to be cheaper to make it on film than it is. The reason why there are so few CG movies out every year, they take way too long to make. And they cost way too much money. So you have to make them slowly. Otherwise, Pixar would have a movie out every 3 months if they could.
Yeah, well,
but they can't.
Basically, your state rep just doesn't know what he's talking about, though, because you're saying CG is going to replace film, like you're going to replace the grips, you're going to replace the assistant directors, you're going to replace the set designers, the costume designers. That's crazy. Okay.
Now, the other thing is that odds are this guy is opposed to the measure. And by opposing the measures that they're trying to work on, this is his argument to say why they shouldn't try to bring business.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense, though. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. CG, some people say, they hear this term CG and how it's taking over stuff, and then they think, oh, CG is taking over movies, like robots are coming in and taking jobs. No, look, your state representative doesn't understand that CG, okay, it will probably put maybe some stunt people out of work. It might put some people who are special effects people out of work because CG can come in and place a guy falling off of a building. Stuntman's out of a job. Boom. CG can come in and make creature effects where before you had somebody who did it out of latex. Boom. You don't get as much work. If you're talking about CG is replacing the whole industry of film, like they're just replacing Hollywood with CG, that doesn't make any sense.
And even then, it's not going to always do that because you know what? It's going to take several months and a couple $1 million to get that guy to fall off of a building when it takes, giving Bob $5,000 to jump off into an inflata mattress off the side of the building.
Yeah, no, it's CG is very expensive, but yeah, what you should do is tell him what I've said. Say, what the fuck are you talking about? CG is a tool that people do on computers for very small things, such as, well, not small, but for special effects and maybe stunt work. You're talking about film, what do you mean? You tell him Corey said that. Tell him come talk to me. In fact, give me a ticket. I'll come out there and talk to him, slap him in his fucking face. Tell him, you know what the hell you're talking about. You about to destroy Georgia. So, anyway, anything else on there?
Because Georgia is well, all right. Let's not make too many Georgia jokes. They don't need them.
I didn't want to go there, but I'm thinking
riding on the short bus. You don't need to make fun of them. They're already pretty fucked.
There's some guy there with 5 teeth talking. Is all going to be replaced by CG?
Yeah, now all of our good friends in Atlanta are going to be. Excuse me.
No, Atlanta's a very huge city, so I'm not even making fun of Georgia. In fact, I think Adult Swim is located in Georgia. So, yeah, you guys got it going on. Whatever. I heard that's Chocolate City anyway. So
chocolate.
That in Washington.
Why does it have to be chocolate?
I don't know, man. A lot of black people there is what I'm thinking. Or they like to eat a lot of chocolate there. You take your pick. I don't know. So anyway, Willy Wonka lives there. So anyway, that's it for tonight. And I have nothing else. So if you don't, we can say goodnight.
Yeah, let's turn on this AC and good night, everybody.
Goodbye. God damn it. Get out of here. Where's the button? I'm still looking for it. Where are you? Okay, there we are.